Welcome back to another episode of the Stick 'em Up podcast. This time we're back with you guys and a little bit closer to the trade deadline, a couple days away. But it seems as if the February or Friday, March 3rd, is going to be very quiet than we think because a lot of the big names and the big stars are coming off the board. A lot of the teams are done buying, done selling, the market's changing and all that stuff. But what do they got to look forward to for this episode?
We're going to cover those big trades that just happened. Like you said, like the fact that the big name players are already like coming off the market. It kind of makes you think like, what's Friday even going to look like?
Yeah, I think Friday will probably just look like a bunch of just depth deals and stuff, like getting your cheap players.
You still could see a Chitrin trade.
I think that's probably when we'll see it. I think Kane's on Wednesday. Because, by the way, I just saw a tweet. Technically, the Rangers they have the salary. It can work to get Kane today. Mm-hmm. They'll have like $30,000 in cap space, but there's a way if it's 75% retained, they'll be able to get him. Mm-hmm. But the Kane stuff hasn't happened yet. Today, we basically just want to talk about the stuff that has happened yet. And we're going to start with the Predators because there's already a lot to talk about with them. There's some good quotes from them today as well. There's some trades and the current state of the team. So what do you want to really start with when it comes to the Predators?
I think really quickly before we get to the trades is the switch up in management that just recently happened.
It was rumored before the season even started that it might happen, and lo and behold, it ended up happening. I think Trotz is he's stepping in right now. Mm-hmm. He's just probably just watching, you know what I mean, just at the side.
And then whenever June comes or July 1st, whenever it is like when the team will fully be his.
So it's like how does Poyle want to leave Trotz? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you think Trotz is giving his input on how he wants already?
I mean, he might.
It is Barry Trotz.
He said whenever he lost his position with the Islanders that he was eager to do management, whether it was with the Predators or whoever, but ideally he wanted to be with the Preds.
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably is giving his 2 cents, and I mean at the same time, he's going to be learning a lot while he's before he fully takes over the role.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this trade that happened with Tanner Jeannnot that we're going to cover, or about to cover, I don't know how much input he had, but that trade in itself is something.
Yeah. Well, before we even get to the trades, like how did Nashville get here? You know what I mean? Underwhelming season, but it's not even because they're kind of winning as of late. I think they got like a lot of surprising depth scoring. They had the same amount of wins as the Penguins, believe it or not.
What's their record? The Predators?
I just know they both have 29 wins as of today.
Predators are 29, 22, and 6. So, I mean, are they making the playoffs? I still don't think so.
No, but it's just saying. But I mean, we expected this from Nashville. We've talked about it on previous episodes before. And nothing's really changed from that. But we'll talk about what has changed. Niederreiter. What do you think of that trade? They just got a second-round pick for him.
I mean, I think that was ideally what you were gonna get in return. I mean, maybe you wanted a third, but I mean, coming away with a second, I mean, that's fine. He's gonna get you 20.
You mean like a second and a third?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah. So
everyone's acting like it's highway robbery. Meaning, I'm pretty sure people were making fun of the Predators for even signing Niederreiter in the first place.
No, I mean I just think it was a fair hockey trade. I mean that was just a good trade.
For the Jets, it's good because they have the cap space, they have the assets, they have the roster space. He's going to get top 6 minutes now that Perfetti's out. He's already on pace to score 25, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets closer to 30 at the end of the season.
Considering he's playing with.
And he has another year left at $4 million.
Yeah, no, it was just overall. I mean, I don't know if he was saying it was highway robbery, but I think
it was just a good trade.
Yeah, no, it was fair on both sides. I mean, the Predators walk away with.
They got him for free in the summer.
They walk away with the second-round pick at the end of the day.
Yeah. But now let's talk what they walked away with more that broke late last night. It honestly broke in the first period of the Pens and Lightning game. Then after the game is when it actually happened.
All the details, yeah.
Yeah. So, and there was an interesting quote that Julian Breezewell said earlier today that I think is a great quote, and I think it's something definitely to talk about. But you want to talk about discuss the trade?
Yeah. So when it finally got revealed, it was Tanner Jeannnot for a 2025 first-round pick, conditional, top 10 protected, a 2024 second-round pick, a 2023 fifth, a 2023 fourth, and a 2023 third. So that's a lot. And whenever I remember when I told you, you were freaking out, as a lot of people were. I mean, if you weren't freaking out, I'm not really sure what to tell you. That's a lot for Tanner Jeannnot, but you have the quote pulled up?
I have the quote pulled up, but before I even say the quote, I think it's important to give the context of Jeannnot. I mean, this is his sophomore season, only 5 goals, clearly a sophomore slump, had 25 goals, 40 points in his rookie season last year. A great contract, still an RFA at the end of this season. They get rid of Cal Foote, who's a thrower, honestly. He was honestly horrible.
He didn't really seem to find, especially with the emergence of Nick Perbix, he didn't really seem to have a spot.
And technically, I saw today, that saved them just enough cap to be able to call up a player. Like, it basically got them $750,000 cap space to be able to call up another, which is huge, because it's always good to have another player up.
Yeah.
And what about great middle six forward, young. This is only his second season. Hits, fights, he does everything. That's his player, you know what I mean? But why did they give up this much? Why? I mean,
we've seen it before with them.
First off, we've seen it before. Stanley Cup run. He's winning now. He's 25. This is his prime. It's only his second season, but it's his prime. So with all that being said, today Julian Breezeball had like a conference, and he basically gave his meaning. It's a little bit long, but I think it's really. Have you heard? Did you read it?
Actually, no, I didn't.
Okay.
This would be first.
Yeah, this is crazy. Listen to this. At the end of the day, I know there's a perceived value of those picks, but we have a really good idea of what the actual value of those picks are. Individually, you can go, what's that first round pick worth? What's the second round pick? And so forth and so on. When we look at what's the worth to us based on the odds of those picks turning into good NHL players down the road, I'd rather have the good NHL player right now for this season and next and help this group win right now, because I know what the odds are of those picks turning into players. I also know what the odds are of those picks turning into players that can help us win while we have this group of players right now in their prime, ready to go for another long run. The odds of that are 0. None of those picks we're going to help. None of those players we're going to draft with those picks are going to help us win this year or next or probably the year after that. So when you put it into that context and you frame it that way, it ends up being a pretty decent decision actually.
It just sounds like, from what that quote, it sounds like he just knows everything. He sounds like he can just predict the future.
I mean, okay, but I'll just recently, literally the last hour, I watched like the hockey guy video on like what the value of, and like he went back, he did since the 2012 to the 2019 draft, every single round pick, and how many of those became NHL players. And it's honestly shocking, like about 20-something in the first round, about like 15 in the second, and then it just completely falls off after the 4th round. Like, the 5th through the 7th round, it's almost 0. There's really none. Some in the 3rd and the 4th. But it's really mainly just the 1st and the 2nd round, in the last 10 years, that these draft picks actually become NHL players.
I mean, he's not wrong, because for as long as these picks go, or like to the year 2025, I mean, they're gonna still be a contending team. They're deep. Points only 25. They're gonna be fine.
Listen, but from the 2012 to the 2019 span, he took the top 5 point leaders from each one, and for the most part, about 85% of them were in like the top half of the first round, and the outliers are like Point, DeBrincat, Robertson are those players. So it does make sense.
I understand what he means. I mean, ideally, Tampa Bay, like when Irisman was there, they were known for getting, they got Palat in the 4th or whatever round. These picks can become something. It's just you have to make sure you pick wisely. That's why Eisman got so much credit over there for what he built. Will all these picks become something? Probably not. I mean, that is the truth to it.
Yeah.
But you can see how like they can, because you just have to. It's a gamble.
But it's also like especially for Tampa, that 1st round pick in 2025, Tampa's going to be. Those picks are already. Last year was 31. The year before that, 32 and 31. Mm-hmm. Like the 1st round picks mean nothing to Tampa.
Right.
They literally mean nothing to Tampa. It's the depth picks that, believe it or not, mean something to them. But even still, it's just like it works out. It doesn't matter for them. So I think the Jeannnot trade, it's good. The thing about Hagel was when they got him last year, they gave up those 2 firsts. Doesn't matter now, literally, because they did good last year, going to do good this year. he wasn't like the player that they thought he was right away. This season he is now.
It took him a while to adjust and everything.
Now, but with Hagel though, he had 3 years of like 1.5 cap hit. Jeannnot's up at the end of this season, so you got a good player and you can retain his rights, but are you going to sign him to an 8-year contract like you did Nick Paul and literally Sergachev and Sorelli and all of them?
He'll probably want to. I mean, I'm not
But
sure if he can.
He's having a bad year this year, so yes, his cap hit definitely, or his next contract definitely won't be that lucrative. But it's only his second season. He's going to do good in Tampa, and when he did it in his first season, I think he's still going to get paid in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the picks thing, it's like the 2025 first. I mean, it can still become something. I could still become a very good NHL player. It's just like they trust themselves and how good they're going to be for however long that it really doesn't faze them.
Yeah, and first off, like it's that first is in 2025, 2 years from now. That prospect is probably going to take 1 to 2 years to even develop, and then at that point for them to even be in the NHL is probably 3, and then be impactful is like 4 to 5. So we're looking at not even finding out what this trade could be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the next Jason Robertson could be this first round pick. You know what I mean?
Or the second, or the third.
Exactly.
You don't know, but they don't care because they're a contending team. They're a powerhouse for how long. That's the point of.
But with that being said, though, for the Preds, now from the that's we're really talking about the Lightning side. But shifting back to the Predators, for them, do you like the return?
Yeah, I mean, just make sure you hit with those picks.
Yeah.
I mean, you got 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 5 picks. Try and hit with 2 of them. Literally, just try and hit with 2.
Yeah.
And I don't.
And knowing Nashville, they're pretty good at drafting and developing defensemen and goaltenders. So, really, but you got to focus on your forwards, and that can be a whole nother discussion of what Nashville really needs. But so we talked about the 2 trades, but now Matthias Ekholm, he's on the block now. What are your thoughts on that? Where do you think he's going to get moved? What do you think?
I've seen things about Edmonton trying to go after him. I've seen things about.
And that would be amazing.
I think I saw something about LA. I mean, will he get moved? I'm not entirely sure.
I would love a Matthias Ekholm on my team.
I just don't know because of for how long. He still has some term, and I think how much is it making? Like
6.25 for like the next 3 seasons after this one.
He's a good defenseman. He's a good top 4. I don't know if anybody wants to take the risk for those remaining years.
A contender would probably.
A contender would
with cap space.
But it's also, would you rather him or would you rather a Nick Jensen who has 1 year left?
True. No, that is very true. That is very true.
I would take the safer bet.
Either way, but for me, like if you replace Pedersen and put or Petrie and put Ekholm, I would love that.
Yeah. Well, for the sake of. I mean, I know Petrie's not like performing up to what everybody thought he would do, but that I understand.
I would love Matthias Ekholm on my team. Remember, it's just like 2 seasons ago he had that great contract at like 3.2.
Oh no, yeah, I remember that, and then he got the extension. So.
Yeah, but I mean, for the Predators, I mean, are they going to sell anyone else? I don't really think there's really anyone of value. They definitely would. Maybe they can retain some salary from someone, be a third-party team.
I saw a thing saying that they were shopping Fabro. I'm not really sure as to how far that would go. But
yeah, I mean, honestly, there's probably really no one else for them. But for the Predators, get ready for next year because who knows what direction, Trotz will take them in because, again, it's not a full-on rebuild, but you're probably looking towards it. They do have a lot of young players, though. Like, they have Askarov, they have Kemmel. They have LaRue.
It could just be like a 2 to 3 year like retool. 2 years of a retool.
They still have Tomasino. I mean, you lost Tolvin, and that's definitely on Poyle for that.
I mean, he admitted to it, so at least he was honest and owned up to it.
Yeah. But other than that, Nashville, I don't really expect anything. Like I said, probably watch for a third-party team to retain. I think that's pretty reasonable to think. But other than that, that's it for them. You want to shift to Timo Meier?
Yeah, it took... After the trade got announced, it took I don't know how long for the actual details to come out, but it was quite the return for.
And what was the return?
They got Andreas Johnsson, Fabian Zetterlund, 2 defensemen that I'm not even going to try and pronounce their names.
Maku Maudin.
A 2023 first-round pick with a condition on it, a 2024 second-round pick with a condition on it, and a 2024 seventh-round pick with actually no condition. I mean, there shouldn't be.
So basically, for the first and the second, it's basically that second turns into a first. If the Devils make it to the third round this or next year.
Yeah.
That's it.
So
I think that the Devils absolutely fleeced the Sharks.
Yeah, I said this too, like, everybody expected the go the other way was Alex Holtz, and he didn't. Alexander Holtz did not go. And
Even Nemec too. I mean, I'm not saying that they were going to trade him, but like that's another like blue chip prospect.
Yeah,
Mercer as well.
The fact that they made this trade without giving up either of those two, heck, even Hughes, because I mean Timo Meier is like that is an elite first line winger at 25 years old. Like it is amazing how they got away with this.
Yeah, I mean, first off, Andreas Janssen, that's a cap dump to begin with, so the Devils should already be giving you more for that. You know what I mean? Maybe not a lot, substantially, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
he's not the worst player.
You retained on Meier. Again, it's not a lot. You weren't going to get the trade to go through if you didn't. I get that, but again, that should be more value. The two defensemen, I like that. For Malcolm Maudin or whatever, he's a first-round pick, and he's only 20 years old. So, and he's playing the KHL. He has like 20 points in 60 games in the KHL. That's really impressive. Mm-hmm. So he's a good piece. I basically see that as a first-round pick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
being
I don't know if the Devils are going to make the third round this or next season. That's way too hard to tell. So for right now, I'll just say it's a first and a second. It could be a 2 firsts, but overall, that's really it. Zetterlund, it's hard to tell. Like, this is his rookie season, 23 years old.
He's doing good this year.
Yeah, he has like 20-something points in like 40-something games.
He has...
Overall, he's not a bad player. He will get ice time in San Jose.
He has 20 and 45. He started the season pretty hot.
But you're not going to be able to flip Andreas Janssen because deadline's 4 days away at the time we're recording. He hasn't played a game yet.
Well, I don't think
even if he plays well. Yeah, I know, but you can like flip him. But basically, it's just it's nothing. And obviously, everything else that New Jersey got isn't really all too impressive. But it's a lot of contract slots and stuff like that. But overall, on the surface, I'd say it's basically like Meier for first, Zetterlund. Well, basically 2 firsts because of the prospect, and a second.
Yeah, I mean...
And maybe a third, a third-round pick if you count that other defenseman, probably.
I mean, the rumblings are finally over if he was going there or to Carolina. But, I mean, now that they have Meier, their forward core is...
But, obviously, just say it's not Meier or Jeannnot in the trade. But this trade is better than the Nashville one because you're getting prospects that you already know what you're going to get from them. Yeah. Rather than raw picks, you know what I mean? Like, because both of the defensemen can be good. Mm-hmm. Zetterlund can definitely be an everyday NHL player for you. Whereas if you just got a third and a fourth in 2 seconds, you know what I mean?
He pretty much isn't
already. They did the work for you in getting the players, you know what I mean? So, I don't think it's horrible for the Sharks. I think just the percentage of these players becoming great is low.
Yeah, it's not horrible, but you just expected more. You expected a Holtz at least.
Yeah. Well, now this probably sets up something with Karlsson. Definitely not at the deadline, but definitely at next off season. Mm-hmm. You better get a haul for Karlsson.
Yeah, I mean,
it's gonna be hard, but you're gonna probably have to retain, like Chicago did.
There's no
like Chicago did with McCabe.
Yeah, there's no getting around that.
So. But overall, wait, what? I think I saw. Is he wearing 96, Meier? Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And obviously, him and Hischier playing together.
Yeah, that is fitting.
The Devils, I will admit, they have a great team. I am curious though if they're going to flip Severson or not because he's getting third pairing minutes when fully healthy, and he isn't going to get much power play time. His contract's up. Could be an interesting team for someone in the West, maybe.
Is he not their second power play quarterback?
I mean, they use Marino. I know Hamilton.
Yeah, he's their first.
Yeah.
I don't really know where he could go. Honestly, I hear all the Severson just trash talk on how bad he is defensively or whatnot. I really don't know much about his game.
Yeah. I mean, he had a good year last year, but that's because Hamilton was hurt most of it and Marino wasn't there.
Yeah.
So he had the first part of the ice time.
I couldn't really tell you where he could go. Does he only have 1 year left?
Yeah. He's a UFA after this.
I don't even know where he could go.
But do you think? I mean, it's not even where he could go, but they might look to move him. But either way, the Devils, they really don't need anything else. You know what I was curious about? I thought of it today. I'm surprised Blackwood didn't go to San Jose.
Why is that?
Because the Devils already that relationship's already not even that strong. They don't. Vanacek's clearly the number one starter, and San Jose. I mean, Reimer's not going to be there next season, and Kakinen's not even that good.
Well, who would be their backup if Blackwood left?
Bernier, is he still? Bernier, but they have Nico Dawes and Akira Schmid in the minors. almost ready to go. They probably not this season, but they could have played. They play a lot when the goalies are injured, but I feel like they could have afforded losing Blackwood.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe Reimer goes out Blackwood, and then maybe Reimer's also in this deal, and you can have Reimer as the backup to Vanacek.
I'd rather that. I don't think they want to do the whole Nico Dawes and Schmid thing all
Yeah,
over
that's what I
again.
mean. But Blackwood, because Blackwood has more value than Reimer,
Right.
I would say.
Yeah,
So literally, just give them. I thought that could have been a better. You literally could have just added it in.
Yeah, I could see that, but I mean, maybe there was like a cap reason to add a
I wonder if Reimer has like something in his contract. I don't know. Either way, great. I say A for
New Jersey.
Yeah, because there's no extension yet, and that kind of worries me. Because usually, remember, like the extensions usually come pretty quick.
Yeah, like I remember.
I mean,
the Mark
Huberdeau
Stone
and
one
Uyghur
came.
took a little. Yeah, that's a good example.
Mhm.
But
I think it'll get done. I think he'll stay there for a while.
Yeah, but I'll say for the Sharks, B-.
That sounds about right. Like I
It
mean,
could change obviously in the future.
Oh
But as
yeah,
of right now,
we could look back at this.
You know what? B, just a B.
Just the B.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could look back at this 3-4 years from now and be like, something.
Actually, it wasn't that bad.
No, we could even say San Jose won. Not saying that's
Because they could easily flip Zetterlund and the defenseman too.
So many things could happen, but as of right now, it's clear that
Yeah.
New Jersey got what they wanted for surprisingly less than what we all expected.
Yeah. All right. Now, because that was a lot too. Now, just recently, as of a couple hours ago, the Leafs made another trade, and there's a lot for this one.
They want to win. They would like to win a round.
This honestly might even take the rest of the episode to talk about.
Yeah.
If not pretty close to it.
Yeah, no, they whether or not Kyle Dubas is going to be their GM next year and moving forward, he's making sure that he's trying to make sure they at least win a round.
Yeah, but honestly too, he's making sure that they at least win a round, and even if he's not back next year, this team is still intact too.
Okay.
And I can tell you why in a second, but you want to break down this trade now?
Yeah, so to Toronto, we have Jake McCabe at 50% retained, Sam Lafferty, no retention, and a 2024 and a 2025 fifth-round pick, both conditions. The fifth-round pick transferred to Toronto will be the lowest of the 2024 fifth-round picks that Chicago owns. I'm sure. I don't think that's going to be the end of the world. But
Yeah.
going back is Joey Anderson, just a AHLer can get
He's been really good for them this year in the NHL.
Yeah, well,
He's serviceable. He'll
Yeah.
definitely get He'll play the rest of the
Well,
season.
who wouldn't?
Yeah.
It's Chicago. Pavel Gogolev. I don't really know much about him.
No.
A 2025 first-round pick with a condition on it, and a 2026 second-round pick. The condition is just it's top 10 protected. So.
Yeah, that's the trade. I think it's a good return for both teams, genuinely, because the big thing about this trade, first off, I'll be honest, I will say when Jake McCabe was in Buffalo, I knew he was really good because I knew a lot of people were praising him for his advanced analytics. That was a terrible Buffalo team he was on.
Yeah.
And then when he got to Chicago like 2 seasons ago, he barely played because he was hurt, so I never really noticed him, and I thought he was playing bad when he wasn't. I did not realize that Jake McCabe was this amazing defenseman who hits, he blocks, he plays the left and the right, top four.
I didn't know until you just said it right now. I didn't really know.
That's
myself.
what literally everybody was saying about this. So that's amazing, and you have him for this season, next season, and the year after at only $2 million because they retained. They wanted 2 firsts to retain, and Kyle Dubas managed to get it down to only a first and a second.
Think about
Because Dubas was probably just it's not going to happen.
Yeah. But I whenever I first saw the 2025 first round pick, I was a little confused. I'm like, okay, Jake McCabe, I know he's pretty good, and we obviously know what Sam Lafferty's capable of.
Yeah.
Penalty kill specialist, and can probably get you a shorthanded goal by the time this regular season ends. But I was just confused when I saw the first because I was like, are they really worth that much? Those two?
I know. Well, Sam Lafferty. The thing about him is too. Obviously, we know about Sam Lafferty and what he's done this year. Literally, just this season alone. Last year, got traded for Alex Nylander, and obviously Chicago won that for sure. Which is crazy to think because when that happened, I just thought that it was the dumbest trade that Chicago ever made.
I was like, maybe it's a reclamation
But
project.
Sam Lafferty, great bottom 6 forward. He just never got the ice time in Pittsburgh. That's why we traded him because he just wasn't going to get the roster. Great bottom 6 forward, has nifty hands, speed, plays with a lot of energy, shorthanded, amazing on the penalty kill, hits, does all that. You know what I mean? 1.15 says cap it for this season and next year. So even if he sucks for the Leafs, they can bury that in the minors and won't even count against the cap hit.
And then Jake McCabe, who now I just learned is a darling amongst darlings. So
Yeah, and and obviously, 10 days ago you added Ryan O'Reilly, and the thing about you made these two huge trades,
in a charge.
and you lost no one off your roster. Joey Anderson maybe, but he only played like 20 something games.
Yeah, I don't think they'll live.
You lost no one off your roster, and you just gave up picks. And what we just talked about the Predators, about how picks are whatever. You know what I mean? And Cal Dubas, he might not even be here to draft these players with these picks anyway. So what does he care? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he just wants to win
And
around.
even if he is here for that time, he's still going to have Jake McCabe and Sam Lafferty under contract probably.
How many more years does McCabe have? 2?
2 after this one.
Well,
and the thing about now with the Leafs as well, you want to know the craziest part? Hold on. Getting lost at Cat Friendly.
this is crazy. Jake McCabe, I'm looking at his stats. He's on like this horrific Chicago Blackhawks team. He's a +7.
Yeah.
That actually blows my mind.
So, their defense right now, Riley, Brody, Hall, McCabe, Liljegren, Sandin, Timmins, Gio. That's 8.
Yeah.
Amazing defensemen, right? Only one of them isn't under contract for next season, and that's Justin Hull, arguably their worst defenseman. And they're going to have Timmins probably be the 7th. And so that 7 defensemen that they'll have for next season is amazing. And if, like I say, if Cal Dubas is here or not, that defense is still going to be intact.
Well, you said they have 8 right now?
Yeah.
8, people who can play. I'm pretty sure, I would like to say from now, I say after the deadline to the end of the regular season, they're going to be doing like auditions for like Timmins, Hall.
There was also tweeted earlier today, I think, the only way the Leafs are salary cap compliant for the rest of the regular season is if Murray stays on LTIR or one of Engvall, Kerfoot, or Hall gets traded before Friday, and apparently things between Kerfoot and the Canucks are heating up.
Oh, really?
This is as of today.
I didn't even know that. Because I was going to say, if you put those 3 names in automatically, I think.
They're cap compliant.
Yeah, but I also think those 3 that they give up,
They also have Jordy Bennett in the minors, who's been decent for them, so that's a 9th. So they really don't need Hall.
That's what I mean, because the second half of the season, from what I've heard, is that Hall's been honestly fine. He's not been anything horrible. So, but between those 3 players, I would say they probably wouldn't mind giving up Hall. So.
Yeah. But also, so for next season already, the defense is signed and locked up. Mm-hmm. And in that, you have Murray for another year. Samsonov's expiring, but he's going to be an RFA. You also have Joseph Woll under contract, who, by the way, is a really good goalie. He's basically NHL ready. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So you have him as your 3rd string. Boom, your goalie position's already locked up. And up front is where, obviously, all the questions and, drama comes from.
Yeah.
But up front, you do have a lot of UFAs. You have Aston Reese, who plays a big role, Bunting, Achari, Kampf, O'Reilly, O'Reilly's gone after this season. We know that.
Yeah.
We just accepted that. But Engvall, Kerfoot's definitely gone. So your bottom 6 is basically all up for the most part. But on top of that, you also have the Nylander and Matthews extension. So for Cal Dubas, whether he's here or not, the only question is going to be about the forward core's future.
Yeah, and back to the whole Woll thing, it's they have no issue letting him stay in the AHL and marinate a little.
And they also have Shalgren.
I don't know if they really like Shalgren anymore.
I
never hear them
as
talk
your
about
4th,
it.
it's probably healthy. That's why.
Oh yeah. But I never hear them to give him any love, because I remember when he came in last year, he was everybody was all up in the ears for him.
And the biggest thing is too, you're making all these moves and all these trades, and you're not touching Topi Niemela, Ronnie Hirvonen, all those other great prospects that they have for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. Nick Robertson, Matthew Knies, can't believe I forgot about him.
Yeah.
You're not even touching all those players, but what does help is Jake Muzzin's on LTIR for the rest of the season.
He's honestly just probably.
He has another season too, so they may want to trade that contract in the offseason.
I think he's
a Shea Weber thing. He is done for sure. Matt Murray, he'll be back though. Robertson, probably trade bait. It all depends how this season ends for Nick Rock. He definitely probably won't play the rest of this season for the Leafs.
I'm not really sure what their mindset is on him anymore. The skill is there, we know that. He just can't stay healthy. So I'm sure they have no issue parting ways with him.
Yeah.
In all honesty.
So now, probably for the 3rd straight episode, Lightning just made another trade. Leafs just made another trade. Round 1, who are you taking? Best of 7.
Well,
this is insane.
I really...
And both teams for them are essentially fully healthy, obviously, minus Muzzin.
I honestly, I don't remember what I picked last episode. I really don't. If I picked Tampa, I probably...
I think we don't. I don't think we would answer. We just say we can't.
If I picked one of them, I definitely advocated for the other one as well. I mean, I just saw Andre Vasilevsky stand on his head and make like a 50-save game and shut us out. So he could honestly just win that series if he probably wanted to. But with everything Toronto's added, like, how can you not say Toronto?
Yeah, I think it's Toronto. I do think it's Toronto.
I do, but it's the same story as last year. It comes down to goaltending because both these teams are pretty even, defense and offense. You go to goaltending.
I take. Dude, no, I take the Leafs offense and defense over the Lightning. I do. But it's like, but the defense is like, aside from your number one defenseman, Morgan Riley and Hedman. I know who I'm taking. But defenseman.
Actually, I don't even know.
Hedman.
Okay, I just want to make
defenseman 2 through 6, and for each team, I'm taking the Leafs on. I like every defenseman. Well,
you don't like Sergachev?
Yeah, I do. And they have Chernak. Oh man.
That's what I mean.
I don't know. I don't know.
So even in those two categories, offense and defense.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, one team has a Vasilevsky and one team doesn't.
I think because obviously when you look at the Lightning's defense, they're really stacked. It's like let's be honest. It's Hedman, Sergachev, Chernak, and fillers. But
yeah.
serviceable fillers.
Oh yeah, good fillers.
Yes,
I
good
like
fillers.
Cole.
But when you look at the Leafs, it's really good defenseman, really good defenseman, really good, really good. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They have just put it a bunch of 85s, whereas Lightning have 2 92s and a bunch of 80s. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's like if, say, injury, I can't predict the future, injuries come down in the first round, for the Lightning.
Oh, if the Lightning have injuries on the back end, they're done.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely, if that were to happen, I can...
if you're out with a Chernak for a little bit,
mm-hmm.
I mean, Zach Bogosian's Victor Hedman's defensive partner.
It works, though. I mean,
that's what I know. I mean, Jan Ruda was his defensive partner.
I mean, they're gonna end up doing that for as long as they're contending. They're gonna put some.
It's like in Jeannnot when you just need someone to fill a +5.
No, literally, that's exactly what they do. And after, I'm assuming Bogosian, this is his last year. Whether or not they bring him back, they'll probably find somebody equal to that. Maybe they'll put Perdix up there.
Do you think they have Tampa has no cap space, but because. Now with Tampa, Nemesnikov's out of the lineup, and that's $2.25 million right there. Do you think, and they need someone on the right side, because I think Bogosian got hurt last night or the night before. It was last night. Do you think the Lightning trade for Luke Schenn?
I mean, yeah, before even all that stuff happened, there were so many rumors about it. I mean, what do they have? I mean, what's his asking price for Luke Schenn?
Dude, I don't know. I would value him at a second just because of how much he hits and how good he's playing this year. Mm-hmm. But I feel some people value him a 4th round pick. And knowing the Lightning, they have no picks to trade, so I don't know.
This year they have 3 picks, 6 and 2 7th, so automatically
that's not getting it
that's
done.
not doing anything.
But Nemesnikov would definitely have to go the other way.
Next year they have a 4th, a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th. Oh, actually they have their 3rd next year too. I don't know. Maybe that's.
I don't know. I'm tired of trying to speculate trades because what we think is completely off from
you and I, whenever we don't record, we always say, what do you think the trade would look like?
It's easy to start with okay, first, second. That's usually what we always say or something along those lines, depending on what it is.
We were surprised to see the Meier one because we all expected Holtz, and lo and behold, that didn't even happen.
I wasn't surprised Zetterlund was included. And I wasn't surprised the Russian defenseman wasn't included either, because I always talk about him with you.
No, I wasn't surprised either. I think we said that we were pretty much spot on. It's just we figured there would be Holtz in there.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. The O'Reilly trade, it wasn't that hard. Tarasenko one was kind of easy. The Bo Horvat one was not easy for me.
No, it was not. Because after we recorded, you and I were playing the guessing game.
And Bovilli was literally, I was like, who is this?
You named their entire forward core except for one guy, and it hit you.
But anyways, back to the Leafs to end on them. I think this trade, I think it honestly breaks the trade market even more.
Yeah, I mean, Jake McKinnon.
And I think that's kind of what I want to because we got 10 more minutes. I think that's kind of what I want to end on. Is kind of who's left in the trade market with it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the Gavrikov thing is insane to me because I don't know if I told you or if we talked about it separately, but 2 weeks ago when they made him a healthy scratch, it was because they had a trade set up with Boston and Boston was like sending like their first and a third. Basically, what they gave up for Orlov and them is what they were ready to send Gavrikov. But then Washington heard that, and they thought it was their time to trade him now or never. And Boston was like, well, I can get way more because they were including Hathaway. And they probably like Orlov better than Gavrikov, to be honest. Anyway, as a defenseman, I would.
Yeah.
They're like, so I can get way more for the same price. So they went and did that, and I think that kind of messed up Gavrikov's value because 2 weeks later, and he's still not traded.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at like the remaining like free agents. Or like upcoming free agents.
Yeah, that's like the best way to really gauge it.
I mean, one guy I'm looking at that could fill like a depth role on the Capitals is Lars Eller. I feel like nobody I don't really know.
But it's
He's
hard.
yeah.
But it's hard though, because like the Capitals made that trade because we knew that Horlov or Hathaway was included because one expiring UFA and the perfect brew.
He is.
That is literally that makes perfect sense. But the reason why they traded Orlov was because he wanted 6 years and Caps wanted 3. So like we're literally going to lose this really good player for nothing. So let's trade him. That literally has nothing to do whether they're a seller or a buyer. That was like a pure like what's it called?
Just a good
asset management standpoint. That's asset management. You know what I mean? So the Caps, they can still make the play. I know they're really bad as of late. I fully understand that, but they can still make the playoffs. So there doesn't mean they're full on sellers, but obviously there's only 4 days left, so they only have at least like 2 more games left.
Yeah, I mean,
and if they lose those two, what they're gonna be like? Okay, every UFA is gone. I don't know.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's like what if they don't make it? It's like does Brian McClellan? That's their GM, right? Brian McClellan.
Yeah.
If does he want to do a full? I don't think they're going to want to do a full.
No,
rebuild.
that's off the table. If they're selling at the deadline, like they're actually going to do it, they're regrouping for next season.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm not really sure though if like I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming they're going to sit down with Ovi and say, "What do you want to do?" Because obviously,
you know the answer.
This is his team, but do I though? Like,
yes,
do you think
they're going to go for it? There are multiple reports saying that they're going to go for it every time with Ovechkin. That's what you do with these franchise players.
Yeah, I know, but deep down inside, I'm pretty sure he's like, I'm not going to say happy if they are rebuilding. I'm not saying I don't know the path they're going to take if it's out of retooling. I really just think he wants to break Gretzky's record. I really just think.
Yeah, but in doing so, you need good players around him because look, he's not scoring like 2 months ago when the Capitals were really good and winning a lot, and he was scoring a lot. He has not been scoring lately, and they've been losing. So you obviously Ovechkin's great on his own. I'm not saying he needs people to feed him the puck. But in a sense, I am because you still need good players around him to help him score. They're playing Backstrom on the third line.
He's got like no hip.
That's it, dude. It's actually true with him. Like because when like people don't recover the same, we'll find out with Backstrom. Well, the answer's in, and he's not the same player.
I told you that like
he is playing horrible.
If he got that surgery done, what is he like 34, 35? If he got that surgery 10 years ago, you could see a scenario where he comes back fine. He's 34, 35. There was no way that was going to work out for him.
Yeah, but not focusing too much on the Capitals, more so just trade speculation in general. But I do think that the Capitals they might sell Jensen. I think
you should get a good.
I hope teams are aware of like him.
Nick Jensen.
You know what I mean? So I think it's just going to be him. I would try Eric Gustafsson because I don't know if any of you guys have him on fantasy, but I do, and he's puts up at least an assist every game. So hopefully someone's watching in on Gustafsson and Jensen, maybe Sheary, and I think that's it. I think it's really those three. TVR too.
They really, they really developed, molded. I don't know what they did, but they made Jensen a really good top 4 defenseman.
Yeah. Other than that, I know trade talks have picked back up with Joel Edmondson and the Oilers today, which, if you want to spend a first on him, go ahead.
No one's going to stop you.
Yeah, literally, yes, would he help you out? I guess, sure, but I don't know.
I honestly hope Ken Hughes walks away with the first because you trade with the dumb GMs because you know you're going to get a stupidly good return for you. Ken Holland is for the most part, a dumb GM.
Yeah.
I mean,
so and also I was like kind of doing the research on like what can now that the Meier trade's done and Jeannnot happened too, what big contenders are left that can still make a realistic move, you know what I mean? And I got 2 teams left that have cap space, assets, and win now mode. You want to know those 2 teams?
Sam, because I might have them in my head as well.
Colorado and Carolina. But honestly, we might already end up being the Stanley Cup final. But these two teams both have cap space, both have Colorado a little bit less than Carolina, but draft stock to trade, and Carolina a lot more than Colorado prospects to trade. But both of them are right. They have not made a move yet, and they're both in a lot of rumors. But who do they get now? I'm asking you because I genuinely don't know.
I mean, one of them, if not both, could go after like a Athanasiou maybe. I mean, that's an okay. You definitely don't have to give up a lot for him because he's not having a good year, like at all.
Yeah, Domi's going to be a little more pricey because Domi's been popping off lately.
But you put Athanasiou on the third line in Carolina, I'm sure he'll be okay.
Domi's already been to Carolina. They got him last year for literally nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if they would go back with that. I don't know.
Doesn't he just want to stay in Chicago anyways?
That's what the report was like in November or December. I haven't heard anything on that in a while. But yeah, there's Athanasiou and Domi. I feel like you could say that for every team, though.
What do you mean? Oh, that they could use him?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
So then but I feel like, I don't know. Because I feel like on Friday, those are the players that are going to get dealt and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean...
I'm really trying to think of other players right now, and I'm struggling on, like, who's significant that's still there. This is just a lot of silence right now, but I don't know.
You could try and... the Capitals could try and flip Craig Smith.
Yeah, like I said, was he playing 2 games at the max? What is he going to have to do to really up his trade value? And the Capitals are going to have to retain half on him.
Yeah, I mean, that's... No, you're right, actually. I mean, because I'm looking down the list, and I really just don't...
Yeah, I mean, I really don't see... I mean, the Kraken, they can buy, but there's really not many, trades, out there to make that I think, there's Carlson, there's Chikrin.
A team could try... I mean, because he's doing good on Arizona, is Nick Ritchie.
Nick Ritchie, yeah, I mean, but then, there's other bigger ones, like Kane, Rangers on Wednesday, probably. Chikrin, thought it was the Kings. I have no idea now. He's probably... maybe getting traded. Is he going to get traded? I don't know.
I'm not even going to answer that
Imagine
question.
if they sit him out and don't trade him. Same with Gavrikov.
I'm so tired of hearing stuff about him. I can't take it. I literally
There's
can't.
Luke Shen that we talked about earlier. JVR, which apparently they want a first for JVR, which is in and itself ridiculous, let alone his $7 million cap hit, how terrible his stats are, and how injury-prone he is.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, but you're not getting a first.
You're not getting a first, you're not getting a second, and you might get a third. 50% retained, that's 3.5. And if you want to chop that down to 1.75, you still have to give up more assets for another team to retain.
I know. I mean,
And at that point, you're giving up 3 draft picks for JVR.
I already mentioned this defenseman earlier, but it was rumored that the Predators are willing to take off or look at offers from was Dante Fabro because he has 1 year left. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. I really don't know how he's been playing in Nashville. He had a good year last year, but that was Nashville. It was year, I guess. I don't know. As of late.
I mean, there were some earlier today, really early today. It was people are checking on JT Miller's availability, and then he gets hurt. What? Okay,
that was the most random thing.
Yeah.
I didn't even click on the tweet. I didn't
even look into it. I was like, whatever. Yeah. But, I mean, Connor Garland, maybe there's a chance. I know they want to trade him. Brock Besser, do we see that happen now?
I totally forgot.
Or is that an off-season thing?
I mean, if there's an offer that's too good to refuse, you do it now. I'm not really sure how he's done since the Miller the Horvat trade.
Well, on the season, 38 and 51, only 11 goals.
38 and 51 is not bad. You would like a few more goals.
Garland, I think he's been picking it up as of late. 32 and 58, 12 goals, so almost the same.
If there's an offer you just can't refuse on either of them, if not both, I mean, take it.
Beauvillier, 8 and 10.
Really?
Yeah, 4 goals.
Well, it looks like he's found his home, so.
Yeah.
Because it was not on the island.
As for the Canucks on the back end, aside from Shen, Tyler Myers might draw interest, but I don't see that happening in the slightest.
I don't know who's interested and why.
I don't think Thatcher Demko is going to get traded yet. The St. Louis Blues, they just really don't have anything left to trade fairly. Oh, Bob, there was a tweet, this one Penguins group chat that I'm in, there was a tweet sent out saying, I forget who reported it, and I forget what it was, essentially based on what it said, but it was talk is building up between St. Louis and Pittsburgh as the trade deadline nears. St. Louis might want compensated for doing the Penguins a favor for taking Kasperi Kapanen off waivers. I was like, why do we have to pay you for doing that? No one forced you to take Kapanen off of waivers. You willingly chose to do that because you literally have no forwards on your team.
Yeah, so like, what would a trade even?
I don't know. Like, who would we get from them? I'm assuming it's definitely not any of their defensemen because their defensemen make too much money for too long. It's not going to be Binnington, maybe Grice for I
don't think he's having a good year.
I don't see that happening in the slightest either. So it has to be their forwards. Someone said Braden Shen because of Ron Hextall in Philly.
He's got a decent term and cap.
Yeah, $6 million for like 5 more seasons. I don't see that happening. And so then it's left with their bottom 6, and it's a bunch of plugs. So, Sammy Blade, Josh Levo, Tyler Pitlick.
Sammy Blade's not. Depth role is not bad. I trash talk him all the time.
And there's rumors that the Penguins are looking to bigger and more grit, so I'm thinking of like a Sammy Blais or one of those players. Mm-hmm. But what would we give them, like a third? That's way too much for someone like that.
Who's barely.
But is that enough to compensate for them to take Kapanen too, which we shouldn't even have to do? So, I don't know. That's just another trade rumor that I heard that was speculating around.
A player from the Sharks that I feel like...
another player, by the way, but go ahead.
That could get some interest just because of how defensively responsible leadership is Nick Bonino. He has one. He only has 1 year.
Get him for $1 million because they'll definitely retain.
Yeah, and I mean, give up a fourth. I don't know.
Fifth.
I don't know.
But then again, it's like we're saying this, and what we talked about at the beginning of the episode on how weird draft picks are valued. But everything that we said in the beginning, I do agree with for the most part. 90% I agree with what we said. But when it comes to depth players, especially on deadline day, you just get a pick for them. It's the value I think is pretty equal. Mm-hmm. What the depth players go for on deadline day, I think is pretty fair.
Yeah, I mean, do GMs see Nick Bonino going for a fourth? I don't know. He's not having a good year.
Maybe a fifth. They'll probably try it if they'll probably work out. One last name before we end off the episode, Matt Dumba.
Yeah, I don't know what that whole thing is going on in Minnesota. I mean, they're not. I don't know.
It could be one that catches us by surprise, at the last minute. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Nick Bukestad's another one that could, as a depth role.
He's having a pretty decent year. Obviously, he's big, power forward.
On a bad
center,
team.
wing, bottom 6.
Troy Stetcher. I'm just looking at Arizona. Troy Stetcher could maybe get a good depth defenseman. I don't know. We could have also just said all these names and half of them get moved. None of them get moved. So.
Yeah. Because there's not as many sellers as there are teams that aren't going to make the playoffs but still like their team not to sell. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
That was a complicated sentence.
No, but I know exactly what you mean. There's only probably less than a handful of teams you can say they're...
Yeah, and obviously the Canadians, they want to sell, but a lot of their players are hurt, so they may look to be the third-party team to retain, but we saw what the price was for that already, and that's a 4th to a 6th round pick, to do that. So at the end of the day, it's something, but it's not a lot for a team in Montreal's position. So maybe the price, voice crack, but maybe when you retain Kane, since it's going to be a decent amount, maybe it's a third to retain for Kane.
Yeah, it's unfortunate how the injuries panned out for them because they had when the season started, everybody knew that their trade deadline is going to be so fun just for Canadians fans, but everything. Just
I was telling you that all summer, honestly, too.
Yeah, I know.
But they did make a trade, Monahan for Gurionov. It's not a bad trade for.
No, Dadonov.
Honestly, Dadonov for Gurionov. Honestly, I like the trade for both teams. I'll be honest.
Yeah, no.
Gurionov only had 2 goals this year. It is not working out.
Change of scenery.
Both on expiring contracts. Gurionov obviously younger, RFA. And he'll get the ice time where he didn't in Dallas. Mm-hmm. And for Dadonov,
depth score.
Yeah. Imagine if Radulov was still on the team.
What, the Stars?
Yeah.
Yeah. When did he even leave again?
This is his first season out of the NHL.
I don't know why that's just so,
Yeah.
Just kind of forgot he existed. I don't know. But Reclamation Project, depth scoring,
And Dallas also has, no cap space. And they're obviously already traded their first-round pick. So they're very restricted on what they can do. And they don't have many players that are really cap dumps that makes sense. Except the only one's really Radek Faksa, but
I'm sure
they're going to be I don't expect them to do a lot at the deadline.
Yeah, I don't see it happen. Other than the trade they made, that's probably the most you'll see.
Yeah. There we go. It was really just trade mania right now. We're going to work to get this out as soon as we can for you guys and definitely have one more Thursday because I would assume there will probably at least 4 trades to talk about from now till Thursday. Mm-hmm. And obviously it'll be our last one before the trade deadline too. So we definitely want to get one last one out. But hope you enjoyed. Anything else to end it off?
No, I'd say it was a good episode. So.
All right. Well, with that, we'll see you.
See ya.